All right, so I'm going to be doing this just as a demo to kind of actually work you guys through with some of the tools and how to actually work in a workflow in Illustrator. So I've got a single artboard 6x6 inch template right here, and then this is just a set of um, logos that I got off of the web. And so here you can see what the difference is between pixels and actually working in vector graphics is that now you can see, hey, here's a pixel, whereas if I was to go into this with a line in Illustrator, you can see that, hey, this is a nice smooth line. It retains its smoothness throughout the scaling process. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of show you how some of these tools work in practice using different things. So like, we'll just start with this one right here. So this is kind of a vaguely football shaped shape. I'm going to go ahead and just try and get this about the right size. Then we have these two lines on each side. And so in order to keep it mirrored perfectly, I'm actually going to delete half of this. So I'm going to use the direct selection tool, click on an anchor, hit delete, and now I'm left with just this half. I will do a small thin rectangle over here. And then I'll go ahead and close this off again. Oops. Actually, before we do anything else, let's go ahead and lock or put this on a different layer and lock it so we don't. So we'll move this down to the bottom, move that to that layer, and then lock it. So now we don't have to worry about messing with that. All right, so we've got this shape right here, and what I'll do is I'll use the Pathfinder, subtract, and then we can ungroup, and then we'll do a move copy over here with the Shift and Alt. And then one tool I didn't kind of really explain or bring up was the transform. So I can right click on this, transform, reflect, and then right now it's set to vertical. We can do horizontal, but you're not going to notice anything horizontal on this. Or set a custom angle, hit OK. And then we'll move this back until it snaps with the original right there. And then select the middle here, and we can group it back together. I'm going to hit Control Y, which is show or view outlines. You can find that here as well, but view outline is just a keyboard shortcut. And we can see now this is the shape we're working with. We have what I'm going to assume by the rest of these graphics are stars here. So I can easily just grab the star tool, and we'll take this down to, actually, yeah, get the right number of stars there. We'll see if we can find the center line here. So we'll do this first. And these are kind of that era of star. So we'll go ahead and just grab this, move this down. And I'm kind of working in a way where I'm not going to fill in that background yet because I still need to see. So don't worry about this stroke right here. I'm also going to do this right here where I'll shrink this down. Oops. Come on. It's not giving me, there it is, okay. And you, so you can hold down Shift and it'll scale proportionally. You can also hold down Alt and it'll scale proportionally towards the center. And then one trick I have for making sure things line up is if you just do that, now you've got these two pieces, move copy, transform, reflect, okay. And then you can use those two middle pieces now to snap to each other. And then once we're in position, we have the same thing mirrored on this other side in the same spot. Okay, let's do another thing where we'll just do, what does it say, headline or something. We'll go ahead and make this centered font. So this is really small. I should probably do these bigger, but we'll just go with this for now. We will choose, I don't know what font this is. There's a whole bunch in here. And so we'll just go for something like that. We'll make the font white just by sampling. Oh, get in there. Change the color. And then, oops. And then of course I screwed all up. Okay. I think that reads right. So now that I'm at that point, I can just take the outsides here, deselect that, Okay, so we've got our center, Shift X, X to get the stroke, slash to get rid of the stroke, and then there's more or less that. When you're working with, yeah, we've got extra lines there. Or not, okay. I don't know what's going on with this one. Oh, probably some weird setting I have. So when you're working with fonts, I would recommend you always hold down Shift unless you're purposely trying to stretch it out. If you don't, you'll end up like skewing it like that. And this is one case where I would actually do that because it looks like they stretched that kind of out. Not the same font, but close enough for that logo. So let's grab a different one here. We've got this one right here, which has 6 sides to it. So we'll grab the polygon tool instead of the other one. And then, that's right, we're still at a 100, so I'll just hold down the arrow key, and after a minute we get down to the right number of sides. So this isn't going to play nice. We'll have to place it, and then we'll rotate it so that it's in the right orientation. Scale it down with Shift and Alt, and we'll get it to about the right size. Now the corners there, we'll switch the border to right there, just so that we can continue seeing. Now, if you look at it, I'm going to assume that those corners are a little bit rounded, and so we do have the option to round corners right there, so we'll just grab this control point, drag that in, and then again, we could use some of the same tools to place the text here in the center. So 1825. Assuming that's a USA. And then it looks like New York, New York, but whatever. And then we'll just kind of get everything here in the right position. Approximately. Again, I'm not going for perfect. This is just a quick demo to show you guys kind of workflow in here. Get size down. And then again, we'd repeat the process for whatever these bars are that I did earlier. So place a bar here, do another one that snaps to the center, duplicate, and because those are actually, were they the same size? I'm not going to take the chance, so we'll just transform, reflect. Yeah, they were the same size. Okay. So just snap it to the middle, get rid of those, and then we'll just set our background color to whatever it was. So as you can see, really quick ways to do this. Let's see, how would I do this guitar, this one right here? That's actually a sneaky tough one. I don't know, we'll skip that one. So how would I do something like, actually, let me get a different sheet. Let's get some more fun ones. Okay, so let me get rid of what I've got here. Oh, actually, so let me show you guys just real quick. So again, the advantage of pixels, you can see that those are lossy, whereas the vector graphics here, I can keep scaling these up and they will stay the same size. Now that doesn't apply to strokes, so you'll try and want to work without strokes, but I'll deal with that in a second. So let's go ahead and get rid of this. We've got our new fancy one here with a bunch of different designs. So let me just throw this in here, and then we'll work through how to copy each of these. So again, you've got this one right here, which is going to be, how would we do this? So first let's get our outer shape. So we'll go to the polygon tool, 6 sides. We will rotate this 90 degrees so that we're at the right orientation. We can do object, offset path, and then we can set the offset path value to negative. So you can see now there's the outer and then there's the inner. And we'll hit OK. Did it just bug out on? Yeah, it just bugged out on me. Okay. The other thing we need to do is get this little slash area going through here. So what we'll do is we'll just do a we'll do a line from here to here, and then we'll do object, path, outline stroke. Oh, except that we didn't have a stroke on it, so let's set a stroke. It will only do that if you have a stroke on it. So path, outline stroke. Oh no, sorry. Not outline stroke, offset path. Path, offset path. Now that looks a bit thicker. We had this value right here, so 1.1389. I don't know what, I'm gonna guess that's something like 0.795 or something, so 0.0795. And then, so now we've got this whole set of lines right here. Actually, I'm gonna make that thicker. At least we're sort of, oops, get in there. All right. So just to adjust things so they look to be the right thickness, I'm going to bring this one in a tiny bit. And then I'm going to scale this up just a tiny bit. And now you can see, like, there's our lines. I think that's a little bit closer. So we'll take this, go to our Pathfinder, we'll do the multi-overlap here, ungroup, and now I can just go through and get rid of the sections I don't need. Once we've done that, we'll merge it all back together, so now we've got one coherent shape. And then let's get this blingy pattern it has. So it looks like they did on that one kind of, I'm not going to get this yellow right, but I'm not going to try either. So something like that for a, that for the stroke, and then it looks like a two-directional gradient, so we'll switch to gradient here. We'll get, actually we'll just use this black and white that it gave us. So let's put that there. Here's a little trick. If you have, say this is separated from here, when you click it inherits whatever that color is. So if this is something like that, and I add a new one over here, it's going to be that same yellow. So I can use that as a trick to kind of inherit the correct thing. I can also use the location value here to set that exactly at 50%. And then I'm going to create a new one here, get rid of that. So this one I'll actually now set at 50%. And then this was more of a lighter, slightly more yellow, whereas this is more of that color. And then actually we'll just use this to clone. So move that out, clone it right there, get rid of that. That was probably too much work there. So we can do that in order to get those settings, and then let me just throw a background on here, grab that, and you can see that that's a pretty close copy to what they have going on for that logo right there. There's a couple tweaks, but nothing that, you know, this is just a demo. Same thing with this one right here. So how would we do this? We'd probably just take a square, rotate it, do that, get some overlap. Now, actually, we need our rounded corners. So we'll round the corners for the outside. Actually, let's do it the other way. So let's do that. Object, path, offset path. We'll go outwards this time. Let's do 0.9. Oops. 0.09. 0.13. Yeah, okay. So we've got that. Pull this in to give that outline stroke, and we'll just do that so it kind of naturally seems like that's an axis right there. We'll drag this over, and we'll try and keep that right there. And what we can actually do is we can use, if we rotate this 90 degrees, draw a rectangle in here. And this is probably just me going way too hard on the details. Rotate it back. We can put that in there, snap that there, snap that there. And then when we bring this over, we should get a snap to the correct spot there, or more or less about the same. Now, how do we handle the rest of this? So this overlap is really tricky right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to... That actually needs to be bigger, huh? Yeah, that needs to be further over. That seems all right. Okay, so let's grab this shape right here. What we're going to do is we're going to do a subtract. So that's going to cut a hole in the center of these. So now if I have, let's grab this, you can see that these now have a hole in the center of them. This dark outline is actually the stroke, so let's get rid of the stroke here. And then with both of them selected, we'll do object path, outline stroke. Or no, not outline stroke, object path, offset path. So this will give us this little area right here. We'll do 0.05, oops, 0.05, oh, no, 0.005. So that gives us that offset that we need right there. Let's actually do 0.03. Okay, so then now that we've got that, we can, let's lock this. So you can lock with object lock, and then once you have something locked, unlock all appears, or unlock, yeah. So we'll lock the selection right there. So this is now locked, I can work on top of it. Now we have this whole mess here. And again, we'll go back to our friend, the overlap on the Pathfinder, ungroup, and then these offsets that we did right there were just so that we could have a good link right there. So if you can play with geometry, you can get some, let's see, this one went through. You can get some really cool things that you can mess with here. Let's see, top cuts through. That way, this cuts through this way. Oops, not that one. So let me make sure we got, there's that. And then again, control Y is really good at kind of helping you reference what's going on where. This needs to be white. And then once we've got that, we'll go ahead and merge them all back together with the Pathfinder. We will grab, or we'll just do that and grab that. And it looks like all they did here was this guy got a rotation of 45 degrees. Because that's what it looks like. Was this just had its gradient shifted. Oh, no. There we go. I still have that selected on the stroke. Okay. So that looks like this was switched to do something more like that. So, yeah, that's how I do that. You've got this right here. So how would we do a circle like that? That's going to be pretty simple. We'll just move this out of the way. So with this, we can mess with different things in the stroke. So we'll get rid of our fill. We're going to be using the stroke. We will do the dashed line. We'll do 1 point, and then let's say 10. And then we'll have to mess around with this a little bit to get the width that we want. Let's do something like 14 point. And then get rid of the rest of these boxes. And then from there, we'll just have to roll the mouse wheel here until we get sort of the right number of points right there. There's another way to do this as well, using the symbols. So let me unlock, actually no, keep that locked. This is locked on this layer. So we'll move this over here. Lock this layer. And then here, let's move this out of the way. Oh, that's still locked. Okay, object, unlock all. So we'll grab this, move it here. So another way to kind of do something like this, like let's say that that's not actually straight like these are. It's instead going to be, it has like a little curve to it. So we'll use the pen tool. Why is it giving me that symbol? And so let's say that these actually have kind of like a little fan shape to them. So something like that. And we'll go ahead and sample. Nope, let's just do our own color then. So let's say they've got kind of that shape to it. This is a really cool trick that I've used a couple times. So you can create a symbol like this, add it to the symbols, and then now when we create a circle here, when we go to apply a stroke, we will do a brush. Oh, sorry, so this should have been added as a brush. Or pattern brush. And then I think that's right. I can't see. And then once we have that, we can apply this as a style to the stroke. So you can get kind of different patterns with that. I think there's a couple different cool things you can do with some of these settings right here. Let me grab a different sheet. Actually, is there anything else interesting here? This looks like they just did, those two rectangles are pretty obvious. Now that you can look at it and compare, you can kind of see like this one is just, what is it? It's this gradient stroke. And then they did this to it. And what is it? It's the bottom that way. And then the bottom, come on. Like that. So you can kind of see, like, once you kind of know how some of these tools work, you can really pick apart some of these generic logos real quick. Obviously, you'd want to refine some of these a little bit, but yeah. Let's keep mistaking the Pathfinder for the thing. All right, let's go ahead and get rid of everything there, and I'll grab another sheet. Okay, so we've got a couple different ones here. Let's see. That one would be a bit of a nightmare to try and reproduce on screen, but like this one right here, that one should be pretty easy. So what we've got is, and I'm going to start this one a little weird. I'm actually going to start it with a polygon, and we'll get 3 points. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make one, and then we'll copy it all the way around. So we've got this right here. We'll squish it like that. And then we've got, it kind of squeezes in on the sides. So I'm not going to try and get this to be perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a point to the midpoint. We'll delete that side. Add, we've already got a point right here. That's right, because we did the star tool. So we'll grab this. Oh, come on. Oh, it's not going to play nice with me on that. So add the anchor point. And then we'll just move it slightly in. Shift C to get the anchor point tool. We'll just kind of squeeze that in a little tiny bit. Same thing here. I think this is a case where less is more. We'll go ahead and mirror this out here. And so then that kind of gives us the shape that's going on. I could probably make that more extreme. And then they've got these. They might actually, did they mirror? No, okay. Yeah, we'll go with that. So we'll do something like that. Right about there looks right. Again, not going for perfect, going for close enough here. What'd they do? This is this color. So then now we can use those rotate skills we talked about earlier. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a small box right here. And this will I'll use for a reference point. So we'll do the rotate tool, click, snap 45, click, snap 45, click, snap 45. And now that we've got half of it, we can also save ourselves a little bit of time and just do one click and snap 180 like that. And then we'll just get in here, select all those, and then we have what is the 4 corners, the diagonal sides are going to use that color. So easy way to reproduce that one. This one's going to be, that circle one looks kind of fun too. So let me shrink this one down, get it over here. So something like that circle, we would just do a circle. Oops. Use the snap reference to get the center, and we'll have another smaller circle inside of there. Yeah, right there. Okay. M for rectangle tool, and we'll do one rectangle. Oops, no. Snap to that center. Okay. So we'll do one rectangle that way. We'll rotate it 90 degrees. Oops. Rotate. Nope. Oh, it changed the position. Okay. Rotate. No. Stop. Okay. Rotate 90 degrees. And so then, again, there's different ways we can handle this. It's probably going to be simpler to do a subtract, merge these two, move them top, and do another subtract. So we get that shape right there. And then let's rotate this that way. We'll use that to get a snap midpoint that's accurate right here. Object, path, offset path. Let's do 0.2, no 0.12. Sure. Okay, and then we'll just use that right there. Again, oh, no, I deleted everything, so I don't have a reference. So let's copy that. And then there's our midpoint. Okay, so we'll just make sure we're at the center here. And we'll do a copy out to this point. And we'll just try and get this snapped. Come on. Right about there. And I think it was more like that because it was of how those worked. So again, we'll use this as a reference point, snap to center, move copy. And then now we have all the shapes we need here. So again, we'll repeat that process. So we'll merge these, subtract them from this. How did it look again? Oh yeah, okay. Oh, I made those way too big. So then we'll merge these 4, and then we'll subtract them from this. Oops. Oh, it's not going to play nice with this one. No. Okay. Then we will just do overlaps. Ungroup, and then we should be able to just delete those. And then from there, just apply the color. So we'll grab outsides, sample, and we're done. So what I really want you guys to get used to, though, with this process is understanding sort of how lines work, how to mentally start preparing to mirror things and copy things and whatnot. Get used to using different processes and patterns, and just kind of recognize how simple a lot of things are. They even called it generic logo. That's fun. Okay. Let's see. I actually kind of want to do that one. That might be a pain, though. I don't think that's going to work well. That would probably take me too long for camera. So, yeah, let's go ahead and wrap this up. I guess I will see you guys in class.